Hello fish fools, Jeff here. So this is my 20-gallon long aquarium with Guppy and Endler hybrids and pond snails. So the fish are Guppy and Endler hybrids from my 3.5-gallon tank, as this again was intended to be an upgrade for the fish in that tank. So I started this colony with a male lime green Endler and female wild guppy and another female Guppy Endler hybrid. And after a few years, it's at least 3 years later, these are the descendants. Some of the descendants. I only even just put a few in here. There's still a ton in my 3.5-gallon, but I put a few males in here just to get the tank going when I set it up. And I put some fry in here unintentionally when I was scooping them up, and I did purposely try to not put any females in here so they wouldn't have babies until I made the complete conversion upgrade from the other tank. But turns out some of those baby fry were females, and they grew up, and now they have had some babies of their own. So there are some tiny fry in here again. But yeah, this goes back a while, so I just haven't really progressed forward with this tank. And then the snails in here, I realized are our pond snails. Like I thought they were just huge, uniquely huge bladder snails, because that's what I had in all my other tanks, and whatever snails that I acquired were hitchhikers, so bladder snails along the way. I did buy some ram's horn snails and Malaysian trumpet snails. Those are in other tanks. There's a couple ram's horns in here that I actually put in. But yeah, but as far as hitchhikers, I had gone maybe 6 years or so since I got back into the aquarium hobby without having any pond snails, and then maybe I was like 5 years into it, and then maybe the 6th year is when I finally stumbled across some pond snails. But they're pretty cool. But yeah, so this tank had been neglected for a little while. I thought it was leaking, so I didn't do any water changes. I thought it was kind of the same situation as my old 30-gallon tank. So, like this filter, the first I thought, like, as this can be set to water come out here or here. So I had the light right here, and water was coming on this, so you can see those kind of like the hard water deposits, crustiness. So then water was outside the tank, like out on the outer edges and spilling onto the floor. And I thought, okay, well, I'd move this out of the way, thinking that had to be the reason. But then it was still water dripping on the floor and outside the tank. So then I just figured it had a leak. And I still haven't added substrate to this tank, so it is a bare bottom, even though there's a lot of detritus and stuff here. But I have not vacuumed that up yet. Done not a gravel vac, but just a siphon vac, because there's shrimp in here, so there might be some shrimp babies, and I didn't want to suck them up. But I don't know, kind of looks okay like that as it is, just like as if it's dirt. But underneath, like the bottom, it has since dried up, but we'll maybe see some, still like wet spots underneath there from when it I thought it was leaking. Did kind of look cool. I never did make a video of it, but I intended to. But it was kind of like it was kind of misty underneath, so it kind of had like this fog. Did look kind of cool at the time, but yeah. But then I did an adjustment with the filter because I guess it was still pouring out the back, but now no more water outside the tank, and I filled it up and did a water change, and yeah, it remains dry outside. So I guess I got that wrong, that it was leaking, and I'm glad. So there is, like, the water level was down to here. You can see there's kind of a ring of crustiness. I think that's just like snail poop that was like dried up against the glass. But yeah. So that's what's going on with this tank. As I mentioned before, I showed this tank a few times. The plan is to add some white substrate eventually, and add some corridors to this tank. So it'll be a colony of these Guppy Endler hybrids, wild Guppy and lime Endler genes, the pond snails, anacharis for the plants, some shrimp in here. I'm not seeing any, maybe a few ram's horn snails, but yeah, mostly the Guppy Endler hybrids and the pond snails. And I did want to point out one of my favorite fish. That was like what I started this video with. This is it right here. Nothing fancy, but with the wild Guppy genes with those dots. I like how it came, the tail fin came out like that with the dot in the center with the orange ring around it, like, you know, pretty symmetrical. Looks pretty cool. A little bit of a greenish aqua pastel colored tint at certain angles, but yeah, I dig it. Yeah, that was a good look at it right there. So every once in a while I highlight some of my favorite fish, some of my favorite mutt live bearers in my tanks, and this is one. When last video that I recently that I showed one of my 40-gallon tanks had a crown tail Guppy, a mutt Guppy that just developed a crown tail, and at the end of that I mentioned I was going to highlight another fish, and this is the one I was talking about. Pretty awesome. And along the way I've mentioned this. If you're familiar with the channel, I am partial to the wild type, non-fancy genes like these. There are some other colors, like, yeah, these guys are cool looking. It's this one with the black bar. That's coloring is cool. Yeah, I mean, I like the variety colors. All right. Well, that's it for now. And remember, I'm Jeff, and I enjoy fishies. Thanks for watching.